Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down another big weather pattern change that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks. This will bring a huge increase of temperatures across the United States. While one region will see a cool down, the rest will be going right back to summer type conditions. We'll also be breaking down the severe weather threat over the next several days. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, but let's first begin with what's happening across the United States today. And we'll first begin with the Midwest, and this is an area that we're actually seeing some showers and storms right now. This activity is from a low pressure system that's sitting in the Midwest. This is going to be bringing some showers and a couple of storms over the next 24 to 48 hours. It's slowly drifting to the south and east, and this will actually create a potential for a couple of land spouts perhaps today and tomorrow across parts of the Midwest, but a better chance of severe weather as we go into tomorrow across parts of the Ohio Valley. Overall, it's a low risk, but it will be something to watch out for as this continues to move to the east as a weak upper level disturbance. Further down in the southeast United States, we have some showers, some storms, pretty typical for this time of the year. We're still seeing some sea breeze activity, which is going to continue to allow for some showers and storms across Florida. Again, overall, it's ordinary summer type storms that we're seeing there. Further down to the south, we do have a high pressure system that is beginning to build across parts of the central and southern plains. And once this intensifies further, we are going to see a huge weather pattern change as we go throughout the week. We just saw a cold front move right through parts of North Texas. Now it's moving through southern Texas, and this actually brought some showers and storms yesterday. A lot of severe weather and heavy rain, which was very beneficial, by the way, for a large chunk there of Texas. Also, we have a low pressure system that is spinning off the coast of California, or off the coast of Washington more than anything. This is bringing some beneficial rainfall right now, and that'll continue here over the next couple of days. So some good news there for those that desperately need some rainfall. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that's occurring across the United States, because again, there will be a pretty big pattern change over the next several days. So as of right now, we have that low pressure system sitting over the Midwest. We also have a high pressure system that's beginning to develop in the upper levels that's back over in parts of the Rocky Mountains, and that'll continue to move off to the north and east over the next several days. And then we also have that trough that's sitting well off the coast of Washington. I'm just outlining it there for you. That's the general area of where that low pressure system is. Now over the next several days, we're going to see some pretty big changes. So going into Wednesday, that trough will start to move over the Midwest and actually go into the Ohio Valley. So again, a low end risk for severe weather for Tuesday, and perhaps maybe a little bit of showers and storms as we go into Wednesday. By Thursday into Friday, that low pressure system really begins to weaken. It's still right here. That's your low pressure system in the upper levels. But again, it's still fairly weak by then. We don't have much of any upper level winds that are very strong. They're overly weak at this point. But look in the Northwest United States, we're going to start to see a cranking low level jet with that low pressure system that'll eventually move inland over Canada, or as well as Northwest Washington, and that will bring some showers and storms. Notice this area though. That is where our heat dome will start to really build up, and this is where we're going to start to see some increase of temperatures and as well as a decrease in precipitation for the rest of September. Look at this by Friday into Saturday. We have a huge dip in the jet stream over on the west coast of the United States. This looks like a very potent trough, which would usually bring severe weather, by the way, if this was centered over areas like the Central Plains. Look back over in parts of the Ohio Valley though. That is where that massive ridge will be in place, and this is going to bring a huge increase of temperatures across this entire region, and that's unfortunately going to mean that we're not going to really see any fall-like temperatures, at least going in to later this week and as well as into the weekend. So really overall, not good changes if you're looking forward to winter, because we are nowhere near that at this point, especially with the weather pattern that we're going to see. By next week, things become more uncertain, but that trough that's going to be back over in the western tier of the United States, it might pose a threat for severe weather down the road, maybe in the Central Plains, but it's really uncertain at this point. It could easily race off to the north and east. It also could go over the Rocky Mountains and be much more concerning for the United States. So again, we'll watch this closely, but it's really too hard to tell at this point since it's such a long-term forecast. So the biggest change with this weather pattern will be the temperatures, and here are the temperature anomalies for the next several days. What this is representing is if it's red or dark red, that means we're going to be well above average in terms of temperature. So from your average temperature, that means it's going to be well above average. Now look at this as we go into Wednesday into Thursday. We're going to start to see an increase of temperatures across the Great Plains, and that's where it's really going to start to ramp up with that high pressure system. We're going to see drier conditions and unfortunately much warmer conditions. Now the western tier of the United States, we're actually going to be looking at below average temperatures for parts parts of the Northwest United States. So the Pacific Northwest, that's the area that will be watching for cooler weather because of that low pressure system that'll bring some rainfall. By Saturday, we're going to be looking at well above average temperatures across the Midwest and as well as southern Canada. We could see record-breaking high temperatures in this region, so definitely be mindful of that. By Sunday into Monday, that heat continues, even going into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Things again become more uncertain by then, but it does not look as if this heat will be leaving the United States anytime soon. So unfortunately, well above average in terms of temperatures for the foreseeable future. Now on the future radar, we're going to be watching really a couple areas over the next few days. The Southeast United States, which will stay active, and as well as the Midwest, two different areas of storm activity. Overall, it's not going to be anything too crazy, and overall, back over in the Northwest United States, we're also watching for rain there. But look at this as we go into Thursday to Friday. We're really not going to be watching much activity at all. The only activity is mainly in the coastal regions, maybe a little bit of shower and storm activity in the northern plains, but it's not much going throughout the rest of this week. By the weekend and into early next week, things become more uncertain, but again, it does not seem as if we'll be looking at really any major rainfall events across the United States for the next several days, if not perhaps even for upwards of a week or two. So it's not going to be very active in the United States. Really the main areas again would be in the Gulf Coast, through the East Coast of the United States, and again in the Northwest United States. One big thing we have to watch for that over the next several days are the heat indices. That's the feel-like temperature. The dew points are a big factor of that. Look down here near the Gulf Coast. Dew points will be in the 60s and 70s. This will promote a higher overall temperature, or feel-like temperature in the atmosphere. So if you're going outside, it might feel 5 to 10 degrees warmer than the actual temperature, and that humidity is not going to really go anywhere. It will go further down to the south as we go into next week, but again, for this week, we are looking at above average temperatures, and that will also increase the heat indices again upwards of 5 to 10 degrees across parts of the southern tier of the United States. Now, the Climate Prediction Center is completely on board with this forecast. Look up here. This is a very high likelihood that we'll be looking at above average temperatures for the first week of October across the Midwest. And for the remainder of the United States, or at least anywhere in the central and eastern tier of the United States, it's more likely than not we'll be looking at above average temperatures. The only exception to all this would be the western tier of the United States. So back over west of the Rocky Mountains, temperatures will likely be below average for the first week of October. Going into the later half of this first week of October, even into the second week of October, we'll still be looking at pretty much the same weather pattern. More likely than not, we'll be looking at above average temperatures for the eastern tier of the United States and the western tier below average on the temperature end. Overall, the precipitation, not looking at much overall for most areas. Really the one main area I'd be watching for the first week of October would be back up here in the northern plains, back through parts of the Rocky Mountains. We might see some showers and storms go all the way through the high plains, but overall the likelihood of that is a little bit lower, but we're still looking at a slightly higher chance of above average precipitation over below average, and then below average precipitation for the eastern tier of the United States, especially from anywhere near Tennessee all the way back into the northeast United States. Same thing for the 3rd until the 9th of October. We're looking pretty much at the same exact picture across the United States. In terms of severe weather for the next several days, really tomorrow is the main concern over the next foreseeable future, at least. As of right now, marginal threat across parts of the Midwest. We might see an isolated landspout or two, but damaging wind gusts would be the main concern out of some of that isolated severe weather. And going into Wednesday, we're looking at another marginal threat of severe weather across parts of the Ohio Valley. Again, damaging winds is the main concern out of this particular event. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.